Well, here we are live again, Chicago Bear fans. And for those who are fans, that was a tough game. It was an entertaining game to watch. The first half was where all the Chicago Bear excitement was at. In the first half, it looked like we dominated. That was in the first half. Now, I had a lot going on at my place while I was watching the game and while I was on the game chat. But I honestly thought that we're starting the second half leading the game, and I did not realize that it was tied at 16 at that point in time. That game is a heartbreaker because it is a game that I saw some very good effort, and I saw a team show up to play this game. It was conservative, and it had to be conservative because there was a howling wind in New York, and we also were plagued on the offensive line with injuries. We also had some injuries during the game. We missed Alshon today. It was nice to see Marquise Wilson show up for one big pass play. He had that long pass play at the end. This game, it was a microcosm, it seems like, of this year to me, though. And they are getting... defeat is tough. Defeat is hard to take. But I'll tell you what, this game, there was a fight in the Chicago Bears this time. And people, I've seen some of your comments already about the penalties. When you put new linemen in, you know, that's where some of the penalties are going to come. Penalties are also generated by pressure. And whenever there is pressure being put constantly from the defensive end, Jean-Pierre Paul, you have to do something to beat that guy because Jay Cutler was getting killed. Now, there was one play that the commentary said that Jay had hung onto the ball too long. And on that one play, that might be. But it's not just a matter, you're under 2 minutes, and it's not just a matter of hanging on the ball too long. That's only 2 minutes to go in the game. Your margin is very thin at that time. Plays have to be made. You don't mail it in, and in the earlier part of the game, sometimes you can throw the ball away. But it's not only just the offensive lineman that causes sacks. When you have your receivers not getting open in quick fashion, then you have a problem. So you can improve on your offensive linemen, but your receivers have got to get open. Now, I love Jordan Howard. I think he's done great. I counted in the last, at least the last half, 3 drop balls that he had. Some of them were crucial to first downs. You get those first downs and the tenor of the game changes just a little bit. And not only did he drop the ball, but we had other receivers drop the ball. Let's face it. If you're going to win a ball game, you have to make plays. Nobody's going to make them for you. Not on this team. You have to make plays. We saw our tight end Miller come out and had a real good game. Was playing well, and then he got injured. We were hurting. We were hurting with injuries. And Bill Coons is asking, why didn't we see the blitz? I don't know that I have an intelligent answer. I'm not blitz happy like you guys are. You guys want to see blitz all the time. There is an opportunity cost when it comes to blitzing. You send 5 guys in, you send 6 guys in, and you have the 3 to 4 different receivers that the Giants have who are pros in knowing how to get over. Did you see the adjustment that Cruz made on one play when Eli Manning threw him the ball for a long pass? That's why you don't blitz sometimes, because you got professional receivers who knows how to adjust. And Cruz, Victor Cruz, he made an adjustment on that play that it was candy. It was handing candy to a baby because Eli Manning's eyes just got big and saw that he was wide open and was able to hit him. You blitz, you blitz, and you leave yourself vulnerable. Now I do like blitzing, but I'm not as blitz happy as some of you guys are. Sometimes when you blitz, Vic Fangio is not an idiot. Vic Fangio is one of the smartest guys. He did it in San Francisco, and he's done it other places. Yes, maybe he should have blitzed a little bit more. I don't know, but there are times you guys are default thinking. If anything goes wrong, well, let's just blitz. Come on. You can't think like that all the time. There is consequences when you take chances. And when you blitz, you are taking chances. You are risking chances. And do you want to risk chances with a defensive secondary that is makeshift at its best? Sometimes it's best to just drop all 7 players back or 8 players back. I guarantee you, though, Vic Fangio did not have a brain fart and say, well, I forgot about the blitz. I don't think that's what happened. I think he had a game plan and he was trying to stick with it. I'd like to hear from Vic Fangio on that subject or why they didn't blitz. I know you guys love the blitz, but you guys love it when you think things are going wrong. If pressure can be applied by 3 guys, why blitz? And we were getting pressure. There were some plays that were made by Eli Manning. Again, on that play to Victor Cruz where Cruz adjusted, that was a play that was made. That was a play that pressure was put on by the pass rush. And the other team just simply made a play that time. So I'm going to read some of your comments. And Jacob Harris, thank you. You're going to be at the game next week, and we are praying for the Bears to win. Steve Gentile says the secondary needs help. Yes, absolutely. The secondary does need help. We're hurt. We're hurt all over the place. So what do you say about that? The offensive line needs help too, don't you think? We've got so many linemen that are out, and yet we're not the only team that is suffering from injuries. There are so many teams that have injuries. You guys, it's not all about the Chicago Bears. The NFL is a team. What you have to do is you have to become deep. You have to have players who can step up and make the plays. We need lots of help, but you've got to develop, and the cabinet was barren when these coaches took over, and when our new general manager took over, the cabinet was barren. It was barren, and we've got starters now that are playing, but when they get hurt, do we have the depth? Now, Leonard Floyd looked hurt pretty bad. I was glad to see that Leonard Floyd was moving, and it looked like he tried to get up. The doctors, they were probably throwing caution to the wind, wanting to make sure that he was okay. But Sam Acho came in and made a play right away. That's the kind of depth that we need at every position. Jim Lazito, you say, we knew that we had starters and not much else. This should be expected. It is going to take 2 more years. I hope it doesn't take 2 more years, but it might, it just might. In those 2 years, we're going to go through a quarterback change, and it's not because I don't see Jay Cutler as a failed quarterback. I see this team as a failed team. He's getting of age, and eventually you're going to have his replacement. So you're gonna have Jordan Howard, and you're going to have Jeremy Langford. Now you're going to have a new quarterback eventually, if not next year, the year after. So there's always going to be holes to fill. from the AOL message boards, many of the guys who we started this group with, we came at least, I mean, we argued over a lot of things, but if there was something that we agreed upon, if you're going to build a championship team, you have to start with the trenches. And that's what the first half of this game had. The Bears dominated on the defensive front and on the offensive front. That's what this game had. The thing about it is that when you have young players, you got to put it all together. And, you know, now I agree with the comments that were made in the game thread. Where was the adjustment at halftime? I totally agree with that. I echo your sentiments on that. Where was? We didn't see any adjustment. And I think that's where you have a young offensive coordinator who just doesn't pick up on the game as fast as other. Is he going to pick up on it next year? I hope he develops. You know, do we give time for offensive coordinators to develop too, or should there have been another offensive coordinator that should have been hired that would know that? Vic Fangio, I have seen him make adjustments, in-game adjustments, but this offensive coordinator, I have seen him lack strategy at times, and I thought his game plan in the first half was really decent. But the second half, God, we got caught with our pants down. Pants were down. Okay, so we have to adjust from what? We were dominating. Well, we weren't dominating in the second half. They made the adjustments. Why do you not make an adjustment when they make an adjustment? You have to adjust. You can't just come out. You know, you have to recognize, hey, they've stopped us, and you've got to be able to do something. You know, it's all about playing chess and checkers. You wait for a move, you've got to make a counter move, and that's where adjustments come in. And they can't just be halftime adjustments. They've got to be in-game adjustments. So, Owen Boatwright, you are right, Owen, but that's no excuse. What Owen Boatwright says, all our key guys keep getting hurt. They do. But, you know, I think if we learn something, I hope I'm not tiring you of this analogy. If we learn something from the Chicago Cubs, I don't think it was one player that won them the World Series. Grandpa Ross hit a home run in the bottom of the eighth, I think it was, in that World Series. But his one home run didn't hit. Dexter Fowler started the game off with a home run. We need a team that is thick. We need to have some depth, and we have to be there with other players, and we have got to realize that it is going to take 22 guys that know how to play football and know how to play it from the beginning until the end. So, but yeah, I know we lost some key players. I really, that doesn't help. It never, they're key players for a reason. They're starters for a reason. But in the NFL, that is where you're going to have to, if you're going to win, you're going to have to have some depth. So, Niemer Buzul, if I'm not pronouncing your name correct, please forgive me. But Niemer asked, how do we stop key guys from getting hurt? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think the only thing you can do is have people ready to go when the key guys get hurt. You can't just build with superstars on the team. You have to build probably with thoroughly good players on the bench. And Andy Rick says injuries are not why we lost. Injuries played a part of it. Injuries didn't help. Injuries isn't the reason we won. You know, injuries affected the game. To say that it didn't have an impact on the game, I think is short-sighted also, Andy. I'm not saying it's the reason why we lost. The reason why you lose the game is you didn't outscore. You didn't outscore the other team, and that's why you lose. And that can't be an injuries cannot. I agree with the idea that injuries cannot be an excuse because everybody suffers injuries. Tell me how many injuries that the New York Giants had. You're not focused on them, but they had injuries throughout the game also. But we won't think about their injuries because we're Bear fans and we're not focused on that. But they overcame injuries also. And this is just the type of game to where attrition, can wear a team down and hurt a team. And if you don't know that going into next year, when you develop your team, when you draft, you're going to have to draft with the idea. With the idea is, how thick am I making my team? Am I upgrading even with my backups? Am I upgrading? So Steve Gentile, he can't stay with us. He's got to go get the leaves out of the gutter. I imagine there's a lot of leaves in the gutter with the wind that's been blowing all across America. It was a windy day in New York, and it was windy here. So Jim Lazito says the Giants have depth, and we knew from the beginning that we didn't. Well, you're right. And I guess it goes to expectations, but we got to expect that our guys that will come in, that they'll come in and play some good football also. And, again, I thought in the first half it was the trenches that it looked like our offensive line did a real good job. But in the second half, it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same thing. Tom Bezick says the play call, lack of offense in a weak special teams doomed us. I think that the weak special teams, I see why you say that, but in the same light, what about our punter? Our punter kept us into the game in the last part. He reversed the field on a couple of kicks. And that's the kind, if everybody did that, if everybody performed like that when it come crunch time, you would be a winner. And the punter really came through at the end of the game there. What do you think of our field goal kicker, though? Now, I saw somebody make a comment. They did a shaking my head. Why did we cut Robbie Gould? This is what I'm talking about. We're so focused as Bear fans on our own selves that we didn't even pay attention that Robbie Gould missed 2 point-after touchdowns. He missed two. Robbie Gould missed 2. And if the Bears score a touchdown and kick it, we win the game, and it would have been because of Robbie Gould. The only difference is that we're not paying the high price of Robbie Gould that we're playing with our idiot field goal kicker. So, Robbie just, you guys are, some of you are bitching about the moves that are made when old people are cut loose. And it's easy for you to go back and say, oh, if we only had Robbie Gould. Robbie is old. We're not going to have Robbie Gould. We got to move on. We have to move on, and he missed 2 point-after touchdowns today. He missed 2 PATs. So, could we have had a better field goal kicker? Yes. Was Robbie Gould the answer? Hell no. So get off that. But you're right. We could have had a better field goal kicker. So Ross Crawford, you said, was that today in the NFL, Ross? 8 missed point-after touchdowns today in the NFL. You think that wind is is wreaking havoc in their minds? You think that's why there were 8 missed point-after? And you got to remember that. Thank you, Ross. You got to remember that the point-after touchdowns are not kicked from the 3-yard line like it used to be. It's kicked quite a ways back now, so it's not the chip shot. So it has to be the wind is playing mind games with them when you think about it. And don't tell me, I'm an '85 Bear fan, that the wind cannot play mind games with the kicker, because if you'll remember the punter for the New York Giants when the Bears were in the playoffs, you'll remember that guy, Sean Landeta, I can't remember his name. Remember when he went to punt the ball for the New York Giants and he whiffed and missed it? Now, that was a windy day, too, and I'm telling you what, that wind is in their minds, just like it was in the minds of all the kickers. You guys got some great comments, and I appreciate it. It's much easier to spend time talking to you guys and seeing your comments about the game than it is to turn on the radio. Because one thing that I believe in is that iron sharpens iron, and I surely don't know it all. And when I see good thoughts that Ross just points out, it makes us all better. It's just so important for us to think. So you know, one of the things that I like to do is for us not to get caught up in the goatscaping or the blame game. Analyze the game in its entirety. Look at the whole, not just one player or two players, but look at the whole units. And you tell me now. This discussion started with the special teams. We had a punter that did. I would give him an A, at least for the way that he kicked at the end of the game and the way that he reversed the field. The kick return, we got the ball past the 40-yard line at least one time, and beyond the 25-yard line at least another time, or maybe two more times. So I think the kick return was good. We had some penalties on punt returns. Now, going into our very last drive, if I remember correctly, they punted the ball, and the ball would have been down somewhere around the 35-yard line, and we had holding called on us. You know, when you have a windy day and you're in New York Giants, that field position is just so important. And to get a holding call, that hurt also. We didn't really need that at that time. We didn't need the ball pinned back. We survived a couple of times, but that was where our punter came in handy there. But you know, there were a couple of times there were almost safeties because the ball was pinned so far back. Jacob Hanna says the Giants punter punted at least twice over 50 yards. That was some big punts. Yeah, but was his with the wind or against the wind? I remember that correctly. What I'm thinking, though, is O'Donnell made a couple of his kicks going against the wind. And one, he just totally put over the head of the kick returner. The kick returner didn't even try to make a field on the ball, and it happened to go out of bounds right around the 5 or the 6 yard line. You know, that right there, if you got every player playing like that, that's what championships are made of, if you ask me. But we didn't have any Alshon Jeffries. We didn't have any Kyle Long. And penalties begin to add up, and they begin to hurt us. So, you know, the Bears are just going to have to keep going. Keep plugging away. Now, I saw that the Vikings won today. Could you tell me, does anybody know how the Detroit Lions did? I did not check their score. I don't even know if they were winning or losing. I was so in tune to our games. Usually people will post the scores of other games while we're doing the broadcast, but Mike Goodwin says that the Lions won. Tony Ransom said that they won. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Was it a close game, do you know? The Lions are in first place. Can you believe that? They had a bye week last week, and they weren't in first place last week, and all three teams in the division lost, and now Lions are in first place. Now, I don't know how to put this, but I don't want to see anybody win the division except the Chicago Bears. However, if the Lions win, it sure does feel good, you know, since I live here in Detroit, to be able to say, hey, we beat your ass. because we did beat the Detroit Lions, but we're going to get to play them again. Now, I do believe that Minnesota and Detroit are going to be playing each other on Thanksgiving Day. So they have short rest before they go to battle against one another. So the Vikings won and the Lions won, and there'll probably be some sort of clash. Tony Ransom said the Vikings game, the score, the end of that game was 30-24. So that was a close game. The Arizona Cardinals are not the same team that they were last year. I'm not quite sure what has happened to them, if they're dealing with injuries themselves, but they haven't lived up to expectations. Another team that hasn't lived up to expectations, everybody thought Jacksonville Jaguars were going to be better. I know they beat the Bears, but Jacksonville has not lived up to, they have not made the move like they thought they would. So our tight end Ross says Miller broke his foot. So we lost. ESPN confirmed Miller broke his foot. Thank you, Ross. I appreciate that. You letting us know while we're broadcasting. Mike Goodwin said that the Lions are 6-4 and the Vikings are 6-4 in the Turkey Bowl for Thursday. So who do you want between the Lions and the Vikings to win that game? What I hope is that a couple of quarterbacks get hurt and get injured and are out. And so, the Bears did well, and they did all that they could. Jay Cutler had a good game, and it just wasn't good enough. He couldn't overcome all the injuries that were on the line, and he couldn't overcome the broken foot of Miller, and he just he was under pressure. Some people saying that he held onto the ball too long. You're stupid. You're just playing stupid. Count from the time that the ball is snapped, 3 seconds. A wide receiver cannot get open unless it's a little slant pass. A wide receiver cannot get open in 3 seconds. And most of the throws that he got sacked on were 3 seconds, except for one. So, I'm going to call you out for being dumb when you're dumb. You're just letting ESPN do the thinking for you, or you're letting WSCR doing the thinking for you. You're not thinking yourself. A quarterback's got to have more than 3 seconds in order to get rid of the ball, because in that time, even if he's in a shotgun or if he's under center, he's got to have time to get back and to be able to read moving targets who are trying to get open. And if they're not open, I guarantee you, if he throws the ball and throws an interception, you're the same idiots. You're just stupid. You're just plain stupid. And anybody who knows football understands that good and well, that all you're doing is being a parrot. You're parroting what you hear, and you're not even thinking. You're just stupid. So Jay Cutler had a good game. He just couldn't overcome. You don't trot one guy out there and win by yourself against 22 people. Steve Mueller, you're absolutely correct. Bears were good the first half, but the second half they hibernated, and they did. They hibernated. So now, if you say, should the Bears draft a quarterback? I absolutely believe they should. I wish that they could have drafted a quarterback this last draft, because you want to give the guy a chance to develop under a quarterback, and you don't want to bring in a rookie off the street. It happens, I know, but it fails more than it doesn't, and you got to learn to play by the odds. If most of the quarterbacks, 90% of the quarterbacks come in and they start right away as rookies off the street and they don't have success, then you don't want to plan to do that. You want to draft a quarterback and get him ready, or you need to make a trade for a quarterback and get him ready. But there's nothing better out there. However, I do see that the Bears they're going to have to start getting aggressive about replacing Jay Cutler. But I don't say that because I think he's bad. I just say that because his window is closing. And this is the lesson we should have learned. We should have learned with Brian Urlacher, and we should have learned with Lance Briggs, is that you begin to replace these players. A lot of you guys wanted Matt Forte back. If you bring Matt Forte back, I don't think you see anything from Jordan Howard, and you may not even have Jordan Howard on the team. You cannot forego the future by holding on to players too long, and I think that is true with Jay Cutler. But you have to be wise about that. Anthony Situation Jones, he says we played hard today. I'd give you a thumbs up on that, Anthony. I do believe, give me quality football, because these guys are young, and I want to see where these guys are going to be in another year. I really do believe that they're going to be competitive. And Tony Ransom observed that Langford got a lot of play today, and he thinks that the 1-2 punch of Howard and Langford is better than Forte, and I totally agree with that. But my point, Tony, is this. Let's say that they decided to bring Forte back. You would have had Forte as number 1. You would have had Langford as number 2. You would have had Kandib Carey as number 3. And would you have brought back a 4th running back on the team? Would Jordan Howard be on the rookie squad? And it's very well plausible to think that he doesn't even make the team with you having 3 running backs on the team, and that he possibly gets cut and picked up by somebody else. So when you drafted him that high, you made the decision that, you got to go with him. And when I say that high, a 4th round draft pick is considered quite an investment. You got to make good. You got to make good on those draft picks. So that's why you cut players loose a season too soon rather than a season too late. And that's why if they would have had a quarterback, and I think if there would have been a quarterback that they would have seen that would have surfaced. Now, a lot of you guys say, oh, there's Dak Prescott from the Dallas Cowboys. Listen, he's behind a very successful offensive line, and that team runs the ball more than they do pass the ball. You put Dak Prescott on the Chicago Bears team, and you guys are the first ones to say, oh, that guy was a piece of shit. Aaron Rodgers wouldn't have been able to play behind this line today. Tom Brady would not be able to play behind this line today. So, come on, you guys, expand your minds. And, Dak Prescott would have probably been a good pickup if they would have seen it. But the Bears, they go into draft with strategy, and they wanted to fortify. And I think Prescott, you guys can somebody can double check if they want. Was Prescott taken in the same round that Jordan Howard was? If he was, which one do you take? It's easy to say we should have done this, but what do you forego when you do that? That's what you got to get beyond. And, the Bears brass, but I will agree, the Bears brass is going to have to start. They're going to have to start right away looking for his replacement, simply because he's getting old. And I think it's Steve Gentile says he's back and he's done with the beer. Here you go. I'm drinking Fat Tire today, guys. This is not a commercial. We don't do commercials, but this is just this is Facebook group, and I'm having my Fat Tire today. It goes down smooth, but that's what I was saying, Steve. Is that Dak Prescott? Maybe the Dallas guy wasn't there on their radar, and I don't think that he was on their radar. The strategy probably was we need to improve certain areas, and then because if they saw a quarterback that could step in right away. Or not step in right away, but that could be, if they would have saw a good plausible quarterback at that time, that could be an NFL quarterback, I think they take him. But I think now they have to get a little bit more serious about looking. Orlando Chico Savalas. Hey, Orlando, give me a thumbs up if I pronounce your name correctly. Orlando says that Gould kind of looking like bronze. Yeah, he's not... Again, you get rid of a player a year too soon, or you get rid of a player, because you got to replace him. It's a young man's league. There's just no doubt. It's a young man's league. But players don't play into their 40s too much anymore. Thank you, Matt Powell, for joining us. Matt, one of the guys who helps us in the Chicago Bears Den, he says, let's hope Floyd is okay. ESPN reported, was it Floyd? Oh, dear God, I've gone through so much information. No, it was Miller that broke a foot today. I don't know what's wrong with Floyd. Floyd had that head injury. Yeah, I hope that he is okay. And I just think that we're going to have to wait and see. He's probably he's probably really being looked over right now. It did look good that he tried to get up on his own, but doctors at that point, they want to be very careful when it comes to head injuries and things like that. Did you see he ran in, Leonard Floyd did, with his head down, and he didn't hit the runner. He hit one of our guys. I don't know if it was Hicks, but looked like he hit him right in the belly. You know, it's kind of like hitting a wall. And I'm not laughing at his. Yeah, Chris Lee, one of our members, he went to the game today and he was dressed like Mike Ditka, so we needed that. Yeah, it was Floyd that ran into Hicks, Akeem Hicks, who is from Vagina University. So Leonard Floyd got hurt running into a former Virginia University ball player. I'm sorry. I hope he's okay. But, you know, yeah, we got stupid people making comments. It just, so, well, it was a tough loss. So get on the boards and make your comments. Make reasonable arguments. If you're gonna make a claim, have support with it, and change our minds about things. But don't keep regurgitating what Mully and Hanley is saying on WSER, because those guys are numbnuts. And don't turn on the radio and keep listening to those guys. Those guys don't have time to dissect the games. You're just listening to people who I don't know that they know what they're talking about, if you ask me. But Jacob Hanna says hitting a wall, hitting a brick wall, especially with Hicks being 6'8". He did, and there was no give in that belly. It wasn't like, you know, if that belly would have been just a little bit of jelly, there probably is no injury at all. But I mean, he hit it, and you know, you don't want to tackle with your head down, because it points the head down in the wrong area, and it stresses the spine, and that's where a lot of the injuries are caused, through that kind of compression that takes place. So that's why they tell you, and they've told us since you know, for the last 40 years. Stephen Gentile says that Hicks is fine, or he was fine. Yeah, he probably just has a little bit of a bruise right there in that area. You know, it didn't look like that it bothered him at all, or that it fazed him at all. But damn, I hate when we lose. I just hate it. But you know, who do we play next week? Chicago Bears have another game next week. We're back to Sunday football, I hope. And I haven't looked at the schedule to see who we play, but we're gonna, you know, I think they're gonna put it out there, and I think they're gonna try. I think some of these guys are believers, and that's what you got to do in order to succeed in life. If things aren't going well, you have to believe. You have to believe. I believe that there's got to be some sort of faith system inside of you. We play the Titans, the Titans. Thanks, Jacob. We play the Titans. Okay. Well, so I think we got to put on. Man, my goodness, what should be, huh? What should be? We got to get healed up, and we got to get some guys back and get playing. But thank you guys for joining us. It's been It's been good, and get on the boards. Now, do me a favor, if you will, be positive. I mean, I know you look at a sack of shit and say that's shit, but just say it's a positive sack of shit. Now, I'm going to tell you something. There are a lot of people who are tired of the crybaby and whiny ass comments that are being made constantly over and over and over. You know, we know what it is. We know that the team isn't performing well. And we're not asking you to say that the team is performing well. We're asking you to look and diagnose it. You know, just don't come right out and say, oh, they're shit. We all know that. You're not saying anything. But there's a lot of positive Bear fans that believe in this team, that love this team, and that want to watch this team. And in all honesty, you know... if you was married to an ugly wife, would you want somebody coming up to you all the time saying, God, she's ugly? I rest my case, don't I? You wouldn't want that. Hey, you guys, man, it's been good. Let's join us next week. We'll try to be around 12 o'clock for the pre-games. I'll tell you, Sunday mornings get real busy for me, so you know we'll try to be there an hour before game time to have our Chicago Bears Den live. I'm glad that we got to have this talk, and I appreciate you guys' feedback. Get in there and make a difference. Do that for me if you would. You guys have a good Sunday. Talk to you later.